Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier. So today in this particular video I am going to explain the concept of execute as owner and execute as caller in Snowflake stored procedure in detail with a very simple example. Okay. So with respect to permission point of view, you can execute any Snowflake stored procedure in two ways. One is with caller's rights, another one is using owner's rights. Okay. So whenever a caller's right stored procedure is called or created, then the stored procedure runs with the privileges of the caller. The stored procedure will inherit the current warehouse what the caller is using. The stored procedure will use the database and the schema what the caller is currently using. Okay, not the one which owner used while creating the stored procedure. Okay, and if you are using a owner's right stored procedure, then the stored procedure will run mostly with the privileges of the stored procedure's owner. That is the owner role, whatever access it is having, all those the stored procedure can use. Okay, right? The stored procedure will use the database and the schema what the owner used while creating the stored procedure, not what the current caller is using. Okay, right? So those are the major difference in between execute as caller and execute as owner. In simple words, you can understand like this way. If you are using execute as caller, it will use the concept of caller. There is no concept of owner is related to it. Okay, so current database, warehouse, schema, permission, all will be used with respect to caller. And if you are using execute as owner, then the stored procedure will execute based on the privileges of the owners. Okay, not the callers. That's the simple difference, right? So let's try to understand with a very simple example. So initially what we will do, we will use AccountAdmin role, which is most powerful role in Snowflake. Okay, and we are having only one warehouse compute WH as part of our free trial. Obviously you can create other warehouse in your system, but I am going to explain with the default warehouse only, that is compute WH. Okay, now what I am going to do, I am going to create a RAMU database in it. Maybe you can consider this as our source system, and in the RAMU database by default there will be two schema. One will be information schema, one will be public schema. In public schema, I will be having a table having name source table, and here in the RAMU database public schema only, I will be creating a stored procedure whose responsibility is to copy any table from this RAMU database public schema to another database which we will be creating, that is having the name db2 in the public schema. Okay, so this stored procedure will just copy the table from the RAMU database public schema to the db2 database public schema. That's all it will do. Okay, and all these things will be creating under AccountAdmin role. Right? Now suppose this particular stored procedure our developer or our AccountAdmin has created. Now our data analyst team will use this one. Okay, so we no need to give the permission to the source table to our data analyst team. All we want, that is whenever data analysts need to explore any table under public schema of RAMU database, they will just execute the stored procedure. They will copy a table from the public schema of RAMU database to the public schema of db2 database, and then they will use that. Okay, so ideally we don't want to provide any direct access to this particular table, but rather whenever data analyst required, they can use this stored procedure and recreate the table here. So for the data analyst team, we are going to create a simple role, and the role name is analyst group role. Okay, under that role we will be giving bare minimal permission, like we will be giving the access to compute WH warehouse because they need to execute some SQL queries, right? So obviously they need a warehouse, so that access we are providing. Then whenever the table will be copied to the db2 database in the public schema, they will use that copied tables, right? So obviously in the db2 database and the public schema, the data analyst team need access. So for that we will be giving the usage access to the database db2, and we will be providing the usage access to this particular public schema of the db2 to our analyst group. Okay, and obviously at the end of the day we need to give the permission to execute this particular stored procedure to the data analyst team's role, right? Otherwise they will not able to execute that particular stored procedure now. So for that we will give the usage permission on the procedure to the analyst group. Okay, so this analyst group, this is the role which is having all the required access for our data analyst team to recreate any table under db2 database public schema from RAMU database public schema. Okay, And suppose we are creating a user having name data analyst with this particular role. Okay, now we will see when we will try to log in with data analyst user and we will try to copy the particular table in DB2 database. We will observe what is the difference happening when we will execute any stored procedure with callers rights and what will happen if we execute the stored procedure with owners rights. Okay, so this is the overall idea. So without any further delay, I will go to my Snowflake console. Here currently if I refresh, neither RAMU database is existing nor DB2 database is there. So first here I will still execute this drop database if exists command for RAMU and DB2, which will make sure the RAMU2 and DB2 database is dropped. Then here we are creating the database. Okay, so it is created. Now here what we are doing, we are creating source table in the RAMU database. Obviously it will be created in the public schema, so I will execute that, and here I will insert some dummy data in it. So if I refresh here, you will see the RAMU database is created. Inside that by default information schema and public schema is there. Inside public schema here we are having a source table. And now what we will do, if I execute select start from source table, here you will see here we have ingested some dummy data. Okay, now here what we will do, we will create our DB2 database, that is our destination or target database, where the stored procedure will copy the tables for our data analyst team. Okay, now here we are dropping the role analyst group if it exists already, and dropping the user also if it exists already, just a cleanup activity. Now here what we are doing, we are creating the role analyst group for our data analyst team. Okay, so here you can see we are basically providing the access to use compute WH, DB2 database and public schema. So that three code I am executing. First one will grant the access to use compute WH for computation purpose. This particular code will grant the access to use DB2. Otherwise, if we don't use this particular code, the data analyst team will not even able to see this particular database in their console, right? Similarly, here we are providing this schema usage access. Okay, if we don't execute this, then only information schema will be visible to the data analyst team. So we need to make sure that this particular schema also visible, because whenever stored procedure will be executed, it will create the copy table in the public schema, so the data analyst can read from there. So obviously they need that schema access also, right? So here we have provided that, and then here what we are doing, we are creating a data analyst user with a password ABC123, and we are assigning this analyst group role. Okay, and again we are making sure that analyst group role is given to that particular user, so we are granting that role again. Okay, so here I will execute this to code, very simple. Now here what I am doing first, I am creating a stored procedure with owner's rights. Okay, so just now I told you that a owner's rights stored procedure run mostly with privileges of the owner. Okay, so currently if you see, I am with AccountAdmin role, which is one of the most powerful role. So with that particular role, I am creating this stored procedure. Okay, so here I have written execute as owner. So this is making sure this particular stored procedure will execute with owner's rights. Okay, rest part is same, like create or replace procedure, and here ramu.public.copy table owner. So this will basically execute a copy statement, as you can see here, just creating a table from the RAMU database public schema to our DB2 database public schema. Create transient table db2.public, and here we are providing any target table name as select start from the source table from the RAMU database public schema. We are executing that, and also we are granting the access to this particular table to our analyst group, because whenever the table will be created based on whatever role that can be with owner's rights or caller's right, the data analyst team need access to that particular table, right? So we are granting that access. This is pretty obvious, and then here we are executing that. So here I will create this particular stored procedure. Okay, and then here what I will do, I need to provide the permission to use this particular stored procedure to this particular role, right? So I will just do that. Here grant usage on procedure ramu.public.copy table owner to the role analyst group. Okay, right? Now here what I will do, I will copy this particular URL. I will open in a new incognito window this same Snowflake account. Okay, but this time we will log in with the user data analyst who is having the role analyst group. Okay, so here I will provide that, and here password I will be providing, and then here what I will do, I will sign in. So let me just switch to classic console, because just for convenient purpose, because we are more comfortable in classic console. So here I will log in. Okay. Now here what I will do, I will try to call this particular stored procedure from our data analyst user. Okay. So if I close everything here, you can see that the data analyst is having DB2 database. Inside that public schema is there, but currently no table is there. Okay. So we'll just put call ramu.public.copy table owner, and here based on the stored procedure, first argument should be the source table which I want to copy. So here I have already created a table, right? The table name is source table. So I will copy this one, and this is second argument. If you observe in our stored procedure, that is the target table name. So the target table name where the source table will be copied, suppose the name is TE1. Okay. So let's just execute this particular stored procedure and see unknown user defined function ramu.public.copy table owner we are getting. Now the question comes, why? Because we have already granted the access to use the particular stored procedure to that data analyst role, right? But still we are getting some issue. The reason is very simple. Here we have not even given the access to use the RAMU database public schema. Table access we are not giving, that is fine. But for this particular data analyst user, there is no such database having name RAMU or public, right? So inside that our stored procedure is sitting. So how they will able to call this one? At least we need to provide the usage to the RAMU database and public schema of the RAMU database, right? So for that I will execute this particular two piece of code, and it is executed. And now if I refresh this one, here you will see the RAMU database is coming. Inside that public schema is there, but obviously no table lights this particular data analyst user is having, so that they are not able to see any table. But actually in our RAMU database public schema, there is our source table available. Okay. Now the data analyst team is not having any access to directly use the table under RAMU database public schema, but we have given access to this particular stored procedure. That way what they will do, whatever table they want to do data analysis, they will just copy in their DB2 database in the public schema, and they can use from there. Okay. Even you can use Snowflake cloning feature also. So now let's try to execute this particular stored procedure. Okay. And see, it is done. If I just refresh, here you will see under DB2 database in the public schema, TB1 table is created. And when I am putting my mouse pointer over TB1, here see who is the owner. The owner of the table is AccountAdmin clearly showing. Okay. That's the point of execute as owner. Because for this particular stored procedure, in the definition, here we have written execute as owner. So whenever this particular query is executing create transient table, then this query is executing with the privileges of the owner of the stored procedure. And who is the owner of the stored procedure? The owner is AccountAdmin, because in the AccountAdmin role we have created this stored procedure, right? So although this particular stored procedure we are calling from analyst group role as a data analyst user, but whenever these tables are created, for all of the tables, the owner will be AccountAdmin. Okay. Even I can query this particular table, select star from db2.public.tb1. Okay. So let's just execute. So here you will see that we will be able to observe the same data, whatever our source table is having in our RAMU database public schema. Okay. The table is copied properly. The only thing is with respect to permission. This table is actually belonging to AccountAdmin role. The owner is AccountAdmin. Although we call this particular stored procedure from the data analyst user, from the analyst group role. Okay. Another point to be noted here, in this particular RAMU database in the public schema, the source table is not even available with respect to this particular data analyst user, right? But still we are able to copy perfectly. And this is happening because of the owner's rights only. Because actually the owner of the procedure, who is basically AccountAdmin is having the access to source table, right? So with respect to AccountAdmin, it is copying this particular table and putting in our DB2 database. Here if I refresh here, DB2 database will be there, and in the DB2 database the data analyst team is also able to see that, because in the stored procedure here we are granting the select on the table db2.public table name to the role analyst role. Okay, because of this particular statement, that particular role is able to see that table and query on that, right? So I hope you understood what is the point of execute as owner. The whole point is this particular table is not even visible with respect to that role, but because we are executing with owner's right, so it is executing perfectly. Now suppose if we are writing execute as caller, what would happen? I hope you can easily understand. Whenever we are writing execute as caller, then the stored procedure will execute with caller's right. And with respect to the caller, with respect to this role analyst group, it is not having the access to the source table, which is present in the RAMU database public schema, right? So whenever it will try to create any transient table in the DB2 database public schema, which will copy the data from RAMU database public schema, because it is not having access to any table under this particular database, so it will throw an error. Let's see that. So that way we will understand the difference between execute as caller and execute as owner in a better way. So the same code here I have written. The stored procedure name I have given copy table caller, from which you can understand this is a caller's right stored procedure. And here the only change is we have given the execute as caller. Okay, rest part is same. So here I will execute that, and here I will grant the usage on the procedure copy table caller to this particular role. Okay, so here it is done. And now what I will do, I will just copy this particular stored procedure. I will paste that here, and here I will change the procedure name. Here I will give the name as copy table caller, and then maybe suppose the source table I want to copy in a DB2 table, okay, in our DB2 database in the public schema. So let's execute that. As soon as we are executing, here it is throwing an error, execution error, insufficient privileges to operate on schema public, okay, at statement.execute line 5. So what is happening basically? If you observe what this particular procedure is doing, it is creating a table in the DB2 database in public schema, right? Now to the analyst team, we have not given any access to create table in this particular public schema of DB2 database. We just given usage access, right? So to create any table, we need to provide the permission. So to that particular role, here we are granting the access to create table. Okay, so grant create table on schema db2.public to role analyst group. So if I execute now, it is executed successfully. Now here I will execute the stored procedure again. Now it is throwing some different error. Object ramu.public.source table does not exist or not authorized. Okay, and that's the difference in between execute as caller and execute as owner. When we were executing the procedure with owner's right, then because the account admin owner was having the access to the source table, it was able to copy perfectly, although we were calling from data analyst, that is analyst group role, which is not having the access to that table. But now when we are executing same kind of operation using caller's right, the caller role should have access to the source table. Then only it will able to copy the source table from this particular RAMU database public schema to DB2 database public schema, right? So that's why here we are getting the error. That is, this particular table does not exist with respect to this particular role, right? And that's why this error is coming. So to avoid this particular error, we can grant the select on the ramu.public.source table. Okay, so basically what we are doing, we are providing the access to read this particular source table to this particular analyst group role. Okay, now if I execute this particular one, granting that, and now if I execute call ramu.public.copy table caller, that is with caller's right, whatever stored procedure we have created, now if I execute, it should work perfectly fine, and it is done. If I just refresh, here you will see under DB2 database in public schema, here DB2 table is created, and if I am hovering my mouse pointer over DB2 table, here you will see the owner is analyst group. Okay, because this particular stored procedure is executing with caller's right. So when the create transient table query is executed, it is execute with this particular role, analyst group, and that's why this DB2 table is having the owner analyst group. Okay, like here if I execute this particular select star from DB2 table, I will be getting same data. Okay, right? So activity is same, just the difference is coming in the privileges. Okay, and I hope you understood the difference with this simple example. All these codes I'll be providing in the description box or in the comment section. Just try to do some experiment with this, because this is a very important concept which will surely help you in your daily activity with Snowflake in your data engineering role, right? So this is all for this video. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share and comment. Subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now. And don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you.